doing what it takes, whatever it takes to get a deal done. So I can tell you in this business, you will come across deals, distressed deals, where they are essentially there's going to be a lot of baggage to get the deal done, and it's going to be difficult to try to get it done. So the question becomes, where do you stop, or where do you give up on a particular deal, right? So what we do is we want to do whatever it takes to be able to get that deal done. So have you ever run into a difficult deal that you can't get closed, right? Maybe there's liens on the property, or there's potential issues. So I want to talk about a property that we currently are closing on today. It's about a $27,000 deal. But this has been about 3 months in the work, and we're still not done with this particular deal. So I want to talk to you about this particular deal and what the situation is and how we had to work through it. And actually, I want to give great credit to our acquisition, Rich Wonders. He did great, and our disposition, Sean Koner. Both those guys have done phenomenal at pushing this deal forward. So here's the deal, right? First off, the seller they're in distress. It's a situation where there's 4 siblings. They inherited the property. We got the property obviously at a discount. It's a $27,000 deal we're closing on today. The seller wants to move because their neighbor across the street, essentially killed his cat. So he has this the situation going on with this neighbor that he absolutely hates. He wants to get out of the neighborhood, hates the neighbor next door, and he inherited this property, and he wants to move on. He wants to get out of this particular property, right? Because he hates the neighbors, and he's just in a bad situation. Now, the guy's prior military, and he has diabetes, really bad case of diabetes. So, and all of that, he's obviously incredibly emotional. He has some credit card debt he wants to deal with. So this is the scenario of the deal that essentially came across their desk. Guy wants to get away from neighbors, credit card debt, 4 other siblings. The siblings want to sell. He's got to move on. What do you do? How do you help him solve this problem? So essentially what we did was, obviously we contracted the deal for what it was, what it was worth, got the property under contract. And then what we did was obviously found a buyer, and for over a 3-month period now, we have been working to get this deal closed and working to get the other siblings on board to get them to sign off on this deal. So we had to go negotiate not only with the guy living there, right? And I won't tell you his name. The guy was living there, but we had to go with his 3 other brothers, other siblings. We had to go negotiate with them and get them to sign off on the contract and get that done. So not only do we have to get his, now we had to get all 3. That took some time to get everybody in agreement so we could get this deal closed. That's the first thing. The second thing that happened is that right prior to closing, this is about a month ago. So we were 2 months in the deal. About a month ago, as we were going to closing to go record the transaction and get it closed, our seller, right, that wants to move out of the house, so the other siblings, filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy because he wanted to wipe out his roughly $12,000 of credit card debt. Right before we actually recorded the transaction. So what happens when you file a bankruptcy? It stops any transactions whatsoever. It stops those transactions. So this seller recorded a bankruptcy or filed for bankruptcy the day we closed on the transaction. Blew up the essential deal. Most people would walk away from that deal. Chapter 7 is very different from a Chapter 13. A Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you can easily dismiss, right? You can have that attorney dismiss it, or you actually can. We've actually had the seller dismiss it with a one-page document. But in this particular case, right? This seller filed bankruptcy the day we closed. So what do? This is a $27,000 deal. We worked 2 months on it to get the other siblings, over the hump on it. We had to clear some title issues, and we had to clear some liens and stuff like that, which we did. Then all of a sudden, this guy at closing files Chapter 7. He doesn't know. He's getting bad advice from his attorney, because obviously the attorney wants to earn fees to file this bankruptcy right before he's about to close the transaction. And then what? Then what do we do? So now we have to work with a bankruptcy attorney, which he didn't want to work with us. He didn't want to talk to us. He just wanted to proceed forward. And then this guy was getting significant amount of equity out of the deal to pay the credit cards and negotiate with the credit card debt to literally wipe out that $12,000. So there's essentially no need to file bankruptcy. Now, if he had a huge amount of significant debt, I would just say, hey, file the Chapter 7 and move forward. But that wasn't the case in this scenario. Now, here's also what happened. After he filed Chapter 7, now we're dealing with the attorney. This guy goes in, and because of his diabetes, has to get his foot amputated, right? He has to get his foot amputated. So, and he has all this stuff in the property. So, we negotiated what's called a post-possession. A post-possession agreement essentially allows the seller to stay in the property after closing, so he could get money so he could move. Now, but the problem we got the bankruptcy we're dealing with, so we're dealing with the attorney, and now he's in the hospital and he got his foot amputated. So, and he has a house, the guy's a hoarder, he has a house full of stuff. Now what do you do? His siblings and brothers are completely mad at the guy, right, for filing bankruptcy and doing this whole thing. Completely upset. So now what do you do? Right? We got to get this guy essentially moved out. We got to get him money so he can move on, right? Move out of the property and go get another place and move out and schedule all that. And that obviously that takes money to do. His siblings are mad. We got the bankruptcy to deal with. What do we do? What do we do? Right? And it's a $27,000 deal. So what do you do? Well, here's what we do. First off, you never ever give up on a deal. Never ever give up on it. We could have thrown that deal in, cashed it in, been done, just said forget it. Let's just stop spending time and energy on it. So what we did was we negotiated with the buyer he agreed on the 2-week post-possession. So he agreed on the 2-week post-possession. We worked with the attorney, again, who didn't really want to talk to us, but we obviously let him understand that the guy's getting significant equity on the sale of the property. He can pay off the credit card debt. There's no reason. So the attorney instructed our seller not to show up at the initial hearing, and then the judge would essentially basically dismiss the Chapter 7, which took about 2 weeks. So the Chapter 7 just got dismissed this past Wednesday. We got the buyer to agree to the post-possession. Now we got the seller that's got the foot amputated, that's still in the hospital, that's going to be getting out of the hospital here this week. But we have to help the seller get out of the house. Now, all the other siblings are in different states, right? So we're negotiating with these different siblings in different states. So what do we do, right? So what we did, we basically told the seller that our entire office, sales guys, all of us are going to take the day, and whatever day he wants, sometime this week or even next week if we have to do it, we're going to take the day, and we're going to help this guy move out of the house, right? We're going to take all of our whole team, go down there, help him pack up his house, put everything into a pod. And I believe he's moving up to Colorado. He has family members there. So he's going to move up to Colorado. We're going to help him fill up the pod so he can ship that pod to Colorado. He's going to have a significant amount of money from the sale, and now he can move on and head to Colorado. So that deal in itself alone was, deals like that will come along where you're going to have to jump through hoops to get deals done. We got another deal in Scottsdale right now. We're closing. Similar situation, not as similar, right? Not as similar, but a difficult situation with the property, trying to get it sold, negotiating with the buyer, negotiating with the seller. There's some issues with the property that we had to push through, and we're getting that deal, closed this week. Now we got deals in California. We got multiple deals in Vegas we're working on right now. So the bottom line is, no matter what situation you're in, always push through it. Don't give up on that particular deal. If you've got a deal with a seller, stay in it. Stay in it to win it. And if you push hard enough, and if you work through it fast enough, and you're able to get all parties you have to jump through hoops to get the deal done. And that's what happens when you're dealing with this business, because you're dealing with distressed sellers. So there are some deals that come along that are super easy, right? There's no problem. They just literally, they're going to tee up. There's going to have equity in the property. There's going to be no liens in the property. You're going to sell the property, and it's going to move the property. You're going to get paid, and you're going to go, wow, this is the easiest business on the planet. And you're going to have deals that are just that easy to go. Then you're going to have deals that are going to be a struggle. You're going to have to push through to get to the other side, and you're going to have to stay with it. And if you do that, then you'll be able to crush it, right? And that is where you have, that's where you add value to the marketplace. I know people get started and they get so frustrated. First off, they just want to find a deal. They just want to find a deal that's a seller's motivated, and the seller, has equity in the property, and there's motivated, and they want to sell, and they can get a good price. They're trying to get all that, and then all of a sudden there becomes a twist in the deal where there's a lien or a second property or some sort of something that comes up. Or the seller goes sideways. We have a deal right now we're working on where the seller's gone sideways on us, right? What do? Keep hustling, keep pushing through the deals. Don't get frustrated. There are sellers that want to sell. We're doing our direct mail. We're doing our ringless voicemail. We're doing our Google AdWords. We're cold calling right now. Sellers want to sell. Leads are coming in. People think, well, it's at the end of the year. I'm just going to wait till the next. We have a buyer on one of our other properties right now that, per her tax reasons, she's got to get it closed at this year. You're going to have a lot of buyers in that situation where they want to get it done this year, get it on the books, spend the money this year for tax purposes, right? So they want to show that investment in 2019, so then they can realize the profit in 2020. So that's something you want to do. Now, the other thing is on Friday, this past Friday, I was able to close on a $10.6 million, 356 unit student housing project in Weatherford, Oklahoma, which is just outside of Oklahoma City. So this property alone produces roughly about $400,000 a year in free cash flow. Free cash flow. So basically, look at your goals of what you want to accomplish and realize that the wholesaling business is not the end-all be-all. The wholesaling business is understanding to keep your lifestyle somewhat the same. Now, you take vacations, do incredible things, like keep your lifestyle primarily the same. But what you want to do then is take the excess cash that you get from your wholesaling business and reinvest it back into cash flow properties. Primarily, I like multifamily properties versus single family. So I got a jet because I do have a whole laundry list of things to do, and not that I have to, but that I want to. Getting everything finished up on my book that's coming out, which I'm excited. We got a bunch of deals we got working on. We're closing on this week. We got a bunch of cool marketing stuff we're working on coming up that we're getting set for the year. But I love you guys too. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. I greatly appreciate it. Go out there and crush it. Make it a phenomenal, amazing day, and rock the house. God bless.